Maybe I can start by asking the very basic information, like what are your qualifications?
My qualifications, my name is Austin Kayanda. I've got a BA economics BA degree in economics. I've got a master's in marketing.
Okay.
I've got a master's in strategic management.
Okay.
I've got an MBA in finance. I've got a degree in law.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot, eh? And you said finance, law, and marketing.
Marketing, yeah.
Okay. And your position is?
National Director.
What are your responsibilities?
Managing Mr. Zambia.
Okay, so we begin by looking at governance,
Yes.
arrangements, and then we'll look at access to information, and then finally accountability. What generally would be your comment about the Zambian governance system?
Well, the Zambian governance system, from our MISA perspective, is that there are very few, there's no social accountability, there's no democratic accountability. Yeah.
And this has been observed through?
Maybe I can tell you about who MISA we are, and maybe you have a better understanding.
Okay.
MISA has got over 500 members throughout the country, and we have 90 institutional members. We support various radio stations throughout the country, and we do sponsor governance programs. We have a program we call Community Voices, where we are encouraging people to demand for social accountability and also participate in the governance of the country. So we do run programs where people are able to participate through public forums, what we call radio listener clubs, town hall debates, and also engagement with the religious, I can say community leaders. Or in summer I can say duty holders and duty bearers, yeah.
Okay. Looking back at 10 years ago, what do you think about the governance system? What has changed over the years?
There's nothing that has changed. You see, what it is when the parties in the opposition, they will talk of social accountability and democratic accountability. But when they are in power, they don't want to be checked. And the major aspect of it, maybe as we go to access to information, it's due to lack of access to information bill. Just today, we were launching this report, what we call Golden Padlock. How accessible, government is the custodian of information for the people, but how accessible is it to get that information, which is almost very, very impossible. I'll give you a copy here, you can go and read it on yourself and see how difficult it is for an ordinary Zambian to. So if you don't have that information, how do you make a decision? How do you hold people accountable? Yeah.
Okay. Is it just in, I hear you talking a lot about social accountability, but when it comes to, for example, like I mentioned, the changes over the last few years, other than the social accountability that hasn't changed, what else do you think is key to governance that has changed or hasn't changed?
Governor, are you in a hurry?
I'm starting off now.
You give me just 5 minutes, I'm just finishing an interview. Nothing really has changed. The only change we can talk home about is the one that happened in 1991, because it was a total shift from one-party dispensation to multi-party dispensation. But if you look at the tendencies of that has prevailed in the last, I can say 25 years, it's almost the same. Nothing really has changed. We have only changed the political parties, but in terms of accountability, governance, nothing really has changed.
Okay. When we say that in democracy, the people are at the center of democracy, do you think that applies to Zambia? Why do you say that?
No, because you see, we don't have for argue, we are just from an election. You elect people to positions. There's no provision where you can recall your MP, whether they represent you or not. And immediately the people are elected, there's a total disengagement between the community and the duty bearers. So, can you call that the people are participating? No. Even in the issues where even the people, they have spoken what they want, but the government just gives them what they want. Look at the constitution itself. The critical clauses which people had spoken, like participatory democracy, representative parliament, all those clauses, progressive clauses were removed.
What do you think are the obstacles to democracy?
Self-interest.
When we look at access to information, could you maybe tell me about the Access to Information Bill?
The Access to Information Bill actually was initiated by Mr. Zambia here. Apparently, it's the sad part of it is that the current head of state is one of the people who drafted the Access to Information Bill. It was called Freedom of Information Bill, including the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Matibine. But you see, this is a situation where you are empowering the people to have access to information, which is in public domain. We are not saying that people can have all the information. We have issues of security, issues of public interest, issues of morality, and so forth. No, we are not saying that. I mean, if I came and started inquiring about your boyfriends, what you do, then that's not access to information. But if you are a duty holder or a duty bearer, I have the right to engage you and hold you accountable on your official accountability in terms of your official duties. Yeah.
You said it was changed from freedom of information to ATI.
Yes.
Could you tell me why?
Come in.
Could you tell me why?
No, it's just the title that changed.
Okay.
Nothing really changed. It's still the same bill.
Okay.
Yeah, the access to information, it encompasses a broader picture. Freedom of information, basically, it was encompassing freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But you see, access to information, it goes beyond that. Yeah.
You think citizens should have access to information?
Yes.
And what do you know about the process of coming up with a bill? The actual process of coming up with a bill.
I don't know what you're saying.
As in, could you tell me about the process? I don't know much about the process of coming up with a bill.
No, the access to information bill started as a private member's bill. Okay. Yeah, we initiated it from here, MISA. Okay. Then we petitioned the backbenchers to present it in Parliament. And when they presented it in Parliament, that was in 2000, then the government hijacked the whole bill and made it a public bill. And then from a public bill, what normally happens is, once a bill is drafted, it goes to the Ministry of Justice. It goes to the ministry concerned. The ministry will send it to the Ministry of Justice. They will look at it. They will have legal drafters there. They will draft it to make a sense out of what you are trying to make. then it's sent back to the ministry, then the ministry will send it to cabinet, cabinet will approve it and send it back to the ministry again, then ministry takes it to parliament, then you have the first reading, second reading, the third reading, then it's enacted in law.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where is this bill right now?
This bill has been moving on and off, all the five, in the last 10 years, we have had 5 ministers for information, and all of them would have been promising we are going to enact this bill. If you go to Ministry of Justice, they will tell you that they've finished. If you go to the ministry, you know they will know the bill is with. But apparently last year it even reached Parliament. And it even had the first reading. But apparently, you see, it was supposed to go for the second reading after 45 days. But the 45 days was coming after the life of Parliament. So it was, again, a derailed. So again, you have to start afresh.
Okay. And who else, aside from MISA, who else was involved in the process of developing this bill and seeing it through the different stages? Other than the government?
No, we have what we call Access to Information Coalition. It's a coalition of 25 different CSOs, like JCTR, FODEP, AVAP, NGOCC, FAWEZA. All of them will come together to fight for this bill. There are 26 actually. 26.
Other than the ATI coalition, do you know of any other coalitions that were formed around this time to push for this bill?
Because the Access to Information Bill, the reason why we decided to make it a coalition is that people were thinking that access to information is for journalists, but it's not. It's every person's right. So that's why we have informed people because previously we were pushing a top-down approach where we present our bill to members of parliament so that they can present it to the parliament and then try to enact it. But when it failed to work, now we started a top-up approach where we come over. We started the top-up approach where we are now involving the church, the headmen, the village headmen to demand for the bill. Because even for argument purposes, a borehole. I mean, a borehole is an issue that affects your day-to-day life. It's not an issue of journalists or what and so forth. So you must have information. Who is the contractor? Where did the money come from? What was the cost and so forth. Yesterday, the governor, Mr. Pondamali, it was supposed to be 250, not 200. Yeah, then also when he came, we couldn't go and pick him because we were already in a meeting. So I told him to get a cab so we can refund him 100 plus. Yeah. He's around. He's there. Okay.
Yes, sorry, I was just finding out because I was told that there might have been another collaboration, that was also formed by the media. Maybe they formed their own collaboration and CSO.
No. The media, most of the media are within that coalition.
Okay.
PAZA, BBC Media Action, Panos, they are all in that coalition.
Okay.
So I don't know which media they are talking about.
Okay. And do you think that within this coalition there was maybe these organizations that have less resources or were not listened to as much as those that have more resources?
Yes, that's a more reason why we had to make a coalition, because one, if MISA was going to spearhead this, it was going to be a lone voice. They might think that it's for journalists. But you see, you have institutions like AVAP, which has got members, but they've got no resources. But their voice is very important.
Okay, so there were no power struggles within the same coalition?
No.
Okay. How responsive was government to the views of the other stakeholders involved in this process?
Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by government, because you see, the technocrats within government are agreeable to the bill, but there's no political will. I mean, for argument purposes, Chishimba Kambwili yesterday, he just issued a statement to say he won't take the bill to parliament, access to information bill. But you see, here's a situation where the people who are the technocrats, like the PS, is a member of MISA, and is one of the people who were there when we were formulating that. So you see, you have a conflict even within government. So how do you define government? At the technical level, they are with you. At the political level, they are not with you. So it's a bit difficult.
Okay, I see. What would you say are the main requirements to enact this bill, in your opinion?
Basically, what it is, I mean, it's just a political will. It's just like you are giving permission for the people to hold you accountable. So if there's no political will in terms of the government itself, then it becomes difficult to enact that bill.
And what are the characteristics of a governance? I mean, we say that we're democratic. What characteristics of such a governance, democratic or not, would be required for this bill to be enacted?
Well,
for this bill to exist, right?
No, it's a true effort. I mean, for argument purposes, this bill was enacted in Zimbabwe. I mean, under pressure from IMF, they're saying we are not giving you money if you don't access. So Mugabe said, okay, you can have this bill, but implementation is not there. Yeah, but they have the bill, but the implementation is not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say IMF now, I want to ask, with Zambia, are there any international bodies that are pushing for the bill?
Yes.
Which ones?
The Europe, the European Union, USA, Freedom House, Southern African Litigation Council. You know, it's a lot of institutions are pushing for this bill because it's one of the tenets of modern democracy.
Okay, but they haven't given such an ultimatum like they did to Zimbabwe.
No.
Okay, I see. How do you think the current and the past regimes have influenced the existence of the bill?
No, they have. I mean, for argument purposes, the people who drafted the bill now are the people who are in power. But immediately they go on the other side, they change. I mean, there was a statement from the head of state saying that if we give you this bill, the media is very responsible, they will start inquiring things like private life and so forth. But you see, it's the person who drafted that bill. He is supposed to understand it better, to say it's beyond just reporting on your personality or your persona. But all other issues in capacity, public resources, and all these other issues and so forth. We are issuing a statement today to express our disappointment over the minister's statement yesterday. Yeah. Okay. I think you'll hear it this evening.
Okay. So in your opinion, what sort of information should citizens be able to access in the event that the 8-year bill is enacted?
Well, information in public domain. Yeah, but we are not saying that citizens should access all the information. Issues of security nature, those are not in public domain. Issues of public morality, issues of public interest, all this, what is the fourth one? There are 4 issues where there are some disclaimers where you don't necessarily need to that information, yes.
Okay. Would you have the use for this information that you would access?
Yes.
Okay. And how would you use this information?
No, for argument purposes. Have you ever had a look at the Auditor General's year in, year out, this total abuse of public resources? Why? Because people are not holding people accountable. People don't know everything is done under and secrecy. I mean, for argument purposes, if when you look at this, we looked at like for argument purposes, the research we did, like Ministry for Community Development, we are looking at the social cash transfer. They could not even give us figures in terms of how much they are doing. What is the criteria for me to qualify to be on the social cash transfer? How many people are benefiting? How much money was spent, and so forth. I mean, if that information is in public domain, we can hold them accountable to say, look here, the yellow book says there's 2 million kwacha reserved for the social cash transfer, but you used 500,000. Where is the balance? But now we don't know how much was sent, how much was used, to who, where did the money go, whether it went to personal pockets, and so forth. You know, even there was one case of this Lufonsa, where you've heard of Constituency Development Funds?
Yes.
I mean, it was abused by, it went there, people put it in their pockets, and so forth, and it had to take the media to expose them. And that's how the money was paid back. Okay. So now, assuming that we don't have access to that information, how do we account for that money?
Now that you mentioned the CDF and public funds like that, do you think there are accountability measures that have been put in place to hold these people accountable once their actions are exposed?
There's nothing. There's no goodwill. But it was where the people who misused the public funds in Rufunsa reprimanded or punished. No, they are still in office. I mean, if you go to the Auditor General's house, a lot of irregularities, and the people are year in, year out. Like there was a case, a very funny case where the guy drew some interest, over 100 and something million, and meant to go and monitor some projects, and he didn't go. So when he was exposed, the PS says, no, we'll give him a loan. And they give him a loan, which he's supposed to repay in 150 years. Is that attainable? No, it's not. That's academic exercise. The best you can do is fire that guy, withhold all his terminal benefits, and recover the money.
Do you think the legislature plays a role in accountability of public officials?
To some extent, yes. Like the Public Accounts Committee, they would request public institutions, government institutions, and government-aided institutions to appear before them. But you see, it's almost like an academic exercise. Okay. You stole money. Where did you take the money? You have to repay it back. There's no mechanism of enforcing what they make. So it's more of an academic exercise. Yes, people will appear. Yes, people will be reprimanded. But how do you account for that?
Okay. Do you think there's room for information that will be accessed when the bill is enacted?
Yes.
Okay. And how would that happen?
Well, what you see, what it is the access to information bill is not just a one-page document. It involves a lot of things. It involves freedom of expression, access to information, and freedom to express yourself, and all those issues are encompassed in the access to information bill. Okay. Now we can't really specify to say. It depends on your area of interest. I mean, if you are in human rights, you yourself, your area of interest in the access to information will be human rights. Myself, my interest is the media. I want to see how the media is protected, how the media can do investigative journalism, and tell the people, how do the media inform the people? Do they have access to the information, the right information to tell the people.
What are your recommendations for the way forward on this bill?
The way forward is the government, they have to just own up and pass this bill. Us as MISA will never relent until this bill is passed. We have now in Africa, last year we had 9 countries that had passed this bill. Now we've moved to 17. We're hoping that Zambia will be among maybe the top 30 people to implement this bill. But the interesting thing is that Zambia was one of the first people to draft this bill itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned how there are so many more countries that have enacted this bill. What are your lessons learned from these countries that are enacting these bills?
What I just told you, Zimbabwe enacted this bill, but it's unenforceable because there's no political will. You have issues like some Islamic states where on the other hand they give you access to information bill, on the other hand there's another legislation that doesn't allow you access to information. So you say it's a double-edged sword, and it all depends on who is in power at what particular time and so forth. But in places like Nordic countries, these Benelux countries and so forth, it's working so well. Yeah, I stayed in the Netherlands for 8 years.
Okay.
In the Netherlands, if you don't have accommodation, you can take the government to court. Yeah. It's a human right. And two, like in the Netherlands, you can walk into an office, demand for that information. If you're not given that information, you can take that ministry to court. And they will be compelled to give you that information.
Do you think the bill alone would influence accountability, or are there other factors in play?
No, there are other factors. The bill alone is not a standalone legislation. There are a lot of other bills that go with it. Yeah.
I think those are my questions. And that's it. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Okay. No.
Okay.
Your papers on what is the title of your
It's
your research?
Governance Arrangements for the Zambian Information Legislature.
What was your hypothesis?
So I've been looking at, first of all, I've been looking at the fact that the API bill can be used, like you said, as one of the tools for accountability. And so I started by looking at accountability by the legislature, but then also mainly accountability by the people, because they, without information, cannot hold, like you said, government accountable. And if you look at my conceptual framework somewhere in chapter 3.
Do you have it in soft copy?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I can't have access it, or you are waiting to?
I can email it to you, although
Okay.
this is not, I would be happy to share a final copy with you, because this is still very much, if you look at it, I've been making so many corrections as I've been in the field.
No, I
My
mean,
questions have
the thing
changed.
is, I'm equally a lecturer.
Okay.
I'm a lecturer at National University.
Okay.
Maybe I can come up with a few suggestions.
Of course,
how
I
this
mean,
is
yes.
how you can improve.
Yes.
I've supervised people writing theses and so forth. So
Yes, for sure. I mean, I need
I
all the
mean,
input
because
I can get.
the issue is nobody has got a monopoly of wisdom. I mean,
Yeah.
we perfect these things.
Yeah.
You look at this, there could be some angle you didn't look at, and
Yeah.
somebody else can come up with it.
Yeah, of
Not really
course.
that I've got specific interest in it in terms of like.
It's your field, I
Yeah.
understand. You know, it's your field. So, of course, it would be helpful to have an expert in the field to say, this is what you should focus on, or bring more out of this. And, you know, because, I mean, it's been a long time of writing just chapter 1, 2, and 3. To a point where I said, okay, I'm done writing. Can I collect some information and see how else? Because, I mean, I don't want it to be just a paper. You know, I want somebody to pick it up and learn something from it. Yes, and so that's why I've made sure I've had to go around a lot to find out who can I speak to, who's in this field, who's been working on the bill, or who has the information. Speaking of which, would you know of any members of parliament that I can approach that were maybe involved in the process?
This gentleman is very, very helpful. Now, I don't know whether he's still a member of Kabinga Pandi.
Okay. I mean, even if he isn't, I can still interview him.
Kabinga Pandi and Mucheleka. Those have been very, very influential. And this guy, Cornelius Wetwa, the MP for Choma, actually is the chairman of Pan-African accountability, whatever body, parliamentary body.
Pan-African accountability. Okay. So these are all members of parliament.
Yes.
Right? And Mr. Kabinga Mpande is for which area?
Kasempa is MP for Kasempa.
Okay.
This one, I can't remember the constituency in Northern Province, but Cornelius is Choma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Put it down. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
And I'll make sure to share a copy with you.
Okay, sure.
Have a good day.
Okay, good day.